Hi everyone, I'm Kusma from First MPCS. Today I'm going to explain about arrays. An array is a fixed size sequential collection of elements of same data types that share a common name. It is simply a group of data types. An array is a derived data type. An array is used to represent a list of numbers or a list of names. General syntax: data type, array name, array size. Example: float mark 5. Representation of array: an array starts with 0 and ends with size -1. Examples of arrays: list of employees in an organization, test scores of a class of students, list of customers and their telephone numbers, list of students in the college. For example, to represent 100 students in college can be written as student 100. Here student is a array name and 100 is called index or subscript. Advantages of arrays: easier to declare and use, can be used with most of the data types. Disadvantages of arrays: fixed size data. Example: if the number of elements to be stored are more than the maximum size, the array cannot accommodate those new values. We have three types of arrays. They are one-dimensional arrays, two-dimensional arrays, and multi-dimensional arrays. One-dimensional arrays: a variable which represents the list of items using only one subscript is called one-dimensional array. For example, if you want to represent a set of 5 numbers by an array variable number, then number is declared as follows: int number 5. Example for one-dimensional array: declaration of one-dimensional arrays. The general form of array declaration is type, array name, size. Here the type specifies the data type of elements contained in the array, such as int, float or char, and the size indicates the maximum number of elements that can be stored inside the array. The size should be either a numeric constant or a symbolic constant. For example, int group 10. Here int is type, group is a variable name, 10 is size of array, and the subscripts is start from 0 to 9. Initialization of one-dimensional arrays. An array can be stored in following stages. They are at compile time and at runtime. Compile time initialization. In compile time initialization, the array is initialized when they are declared. The general form of initialization of array is type, array name, size equals to list of values. The list of values are separated by commas. Compile time initialization. Example: int number equals to 1, 2, 3, 4. The character array can be initialized as follows: character name equals to characters. The character array can also be initialized as follows: runtime initialization. In runtime initialization, the array is explicitly initialized at runtime. This concept generally used for initializing large arrays. Here, first 50 elements of the array sum are initialized to 0 and the remaining 50 elements are initialized to 1 at runtime. Now, two-dimensional arrays: a variable which represents the list of items using two index subscripts is called two-dimensional array. In two-dimensional arrays, the data is stored in rows and columns format. For example, int table 2, 3. Example for two-dimensional arrays. The first index number represents row number and the second index number represents the column number. Declaration of two-dimensional arrays. The general form of two-dimensional array declaration is type, array name, row size and column size. Here the type specifies the data type of elements contained in the array such as int, float or character. The size should be either a numeric constant or a symbolic constant. Initialization of two-dimensional arrays. The general form of initializing two-dimensional array is type, array name, row size and column size equals to list of values. Example. Here the elements of first row initializes to 0 and the elements of second row initializes to 1. The above statement can be written as like this. In two-dimensional array, the row size can be omitted. Memory layout of two-dimensional array. In two-dimensional arrays, the data is stored in rows and columns format. For example, int, table, 2, 3. The memory layout of above example is like this. For example, int table, if the values are missing in an initializer, they are automatically set to 0. Example, here first row initialized to 1, 1 and 2 and second row initialized to 0, 0 and 0 automatically. Now multi-dimensional arrays, a variable which represents the list of items using more than 2 index is called multi-dimensional array. The general form of multi-dimensional array is type, array name, S1, S2, S3 and so on, Sn. Where S is the size, some examples are, here survey is a 3-dimensional array and table is a 4-dimensional array. Example for multi-dimensional arrays. Applications of arrays. Using pointers for accessing arrays, passing arrays as function parameters, array as members of structures, using structure type data as array elements, arrays as dynamic data structures, manipulating character arrays and strings.